Gundam.tk presents MG Heavyarms. Hey, what's up again, everybody? It's Robert184, 2Rs2Bs, Gundam Reviews.net, and Troa Barton right now is in the Serpent Custom infiltrating the enemy army, and that means we have time to take a look at the parts of the Heavyarms before it all gets put together for the climax of the OVA Endless Waltz. For the main body parts, you can see what we've got here, the limbs, separate ankles, waist, chest, and arms to go along with that very interesting looking head. The weapons include the beam Gatling gun, the camper's knife there, shield, and the backpack mount to go along with the missiles for the legs. You'll also get 6 extra manipulator hands there, or just the fingers if you want to swap those out, the action-based connector, the beam saber that's going to fit inside the left forearm, and a very tiny standing Troa Barton. If you took a look at part 2, my plates review, you could see that I was quite impressed by the fact that for the gray parts for the shoulders and the missile, they were actually going to have 2 layers, so you had the missiles underneath, and if you paint those up, then you can have them shine through compared to the gray that they're going to be on top, as opposed to just being dark gray on gray. And if you take a look here, it was very easy to do because all I did is I took the F plate, cut out a few parts, you don't want to paint those ones, and basically I was debating between a few different colors. Should I use a different kind of dark gray, some gunmetal, or the silver, and I ended up just going with the silver here, which you'll see actually makes them really stand out. It may make them stand out too much in a few cases, but anyway, if you do want to paint it, I just want to point it out that this could not be easier thanks to the efforts of Bandai. And I did not put on the extra decals even though they're all there, and this red Real Touch marker came in handy quite a bit for putting in some of the lining, especially on the orange. To business now, bottom to top. When you've got the legs like this, you'll notice that they're very, very white. Not a lot of lining opportunities or things like that, but that's not going to be a bad thing when you see how colorful the upper body is. You've got the hips around here, and you'll notice that this part is offset, so make sure you put the right one in the right leg. And you're also going to have this bend here, and you'll notice that it's got this sliding part down there, which is very familiar for anybody who's been building the wing kits. If you bend it all the way back, you'll see that the knee is going to pop up, and you're going to get almost a 180, and it's looking good overall. Over here on the outside of the leg, unlike most Gundams, you're going to have most of the interesting parts on the inside, and that's because it's going to have a missile pack that attaches on here, a single gray part there to add a little bit of color, and these are 2 white parts, so we'll see how that works when they actually make the green one, and some gray lining all over the place, and nothing fancy for the ankles. Which you can see here are going to have a ball joint top and bottom, so you can attach that in. You've got a gray part attached to the back and a white part on there with a line down there if you want to put in some lining. And for the feet, you're going to have the gray, the white, and the red, and they are going to move up ever so slightly and down like that. No mobility back there for the heel. The missile pods have some consummate V's here on the side, and if you want to actually open them up from the front, you're going to have 2 hatches there, and then one there, and one there. And you can see inside that these are the painted silver ones. These would be the same dark gray that you can see there. So here the white doesn't look great against the white, but you'll see it looks a little bit better on the gray up there. Very simple mount mechanism, so these are easy to put together and fun. Here's the leg here as a total package, and in terms of mobility, the ankles are going to move well and still feel solid front and back. And remember that you can move that up and down, and the missile pods are not going to get in the way of any sort of bend or anything like that. The waist section is very cartoony and 90s in colors, and you can just imagine that in the past this would have all been red over here, but instead you're getting red with gray with white with the fact that it's actually going to open, so incredibly detailed for this master grade. White part here with yellow on the top, a little bit of lining. I went with some brown Gundam marker down there for lining, and this is where the red Real Touch marker really sort of makes that yellow-orange pop there, the orange pop I think. And over on the side, you're going to, like I said, you've got the gray and the white, which is going to look fantastic. On the back, you've got independent moving skirts, but these skirts do feel a little bit loose. They're on a very familiar frame for the Gundam Wing kits. They're all the same. And you can see that this is going to move around. This is going to be a little bit weak. And independent, yes, that's good, but not necessarily that solid. You've got the connecting point down there if you want to put this on an action base, but in terms of the actual weapons, on the front, if you take this orange part, you can slide it up a little bit and then slide this down. And inside you'll reveal what would normally be dark gray, but again, here there's silver. I painted the whole thing in silver, which is a little bit, you should just paint the missiles, I suppose, but it's just a lot easier to spray it like this. And on the side, you can also open this up. You've just got to pull it out and down a little bit, and you can lock this down into place ever so slightly. And again, these are silver that you'll want to paint not just the front, but the whole thing, I'd imagine. The chest isn't nearly as colorful without the red of the waist, but it's still going to look good overall. Gray down below, orange, and you've got again those nice details like gray with the small yellow piece on there and these blue tiger stripes if you want to call them that. In terms of the mechanics, you can see where the backpack's going to attach on there. That's going to be pretty solid. Gray parts up here for the Vulcans. I didn't paint these ones silver, they're just gray, but you can see them against the white. Over here you can see that the shoulders are going to pop out like this and they can move up and down, so you're going to have a really good thing. You've just got to be a little bit careful here because there's some small parts for the chest when you're putting it all together. But yes, Heavyarms is all about opening up the Soundwave chest and revealing what's inside, which is not going to be a laser beak, but instead a whole bunch more machine guns. And what I did here is you've got this very intricate gray part on the top, which I chose not to paint, and I just painted the underpiece. You should probably only paint the guns, but again, you can hardly see underneath, so I think it's really going to pop out because otherwise this whole inner chest would be dark gray and it would sort of get lost in the details. To the arms of the Heavyarms, and you're going to be able to attach these on up here, and you'll notice that the arm can move independent from this mount part up here. It can also rotate around here, but it doesn't swing all that smoothly here. You can bend the elbow up here and here, so you're going to get over a 135. This is where you can attach on the army knife. You've got different colors down here, which is different from what we'll see in the OVA version. White hand covers, and you've got this gray part here, which is not attached on in any way. Just the fact that you plug in the manipulator is going to keep it in place. And these 4 fingers, again, you can swap out and replace them with a variety, and that thumb on both hands just feels a little bit loose for me. Now for the hidden beam saber that's inside the left arm, you're going to have to choose when you're putting this together because it's actually part of the inner frame. If you can make out the elbow joint there, basically you take the elbow joint and you attach these 2 gray parts around there and put that in, and if you do that, then of course you won't be able to put on the hand parts. So I went with the hand parts, but it's still cool to have this option, even if it's never going to get used and they didn't give you a beam to go along with the handle. Here are the extra fingers that you can swap out of the manipulators. You've got a closed fist, a regular open one, and you've also got one with a bar down the middle, which will come into play when you're holding some of the 5 Gundam's weapons. But hands and elbows are neither here nor there. It's the shoulders of the Heavyarms that have got to be its best feature besides opening up its chest there. In terms of color apps, you've got white down there below, an extra little gray part to plug in here, some gray things looking. Everything is looking pretty sharp, so let's see the actual weapons though. You can take this part here and it's a very easy, all you have to do is rotate it out. It's not going to look ugly under there. You could add some paint in there. And this is where for the first time maybe you can really see how different that silver is on top of the gray. And for these I just painted them all up, inserted them, which is just going to make life very easy. And when you open up the front part, it's a very smooth swing mechanism again. You just get to see all of that. If this had been gunmetal, I think it wouldn't have shown up. So I'm really happy with the silver effect. That seemed to be how the pros had painted it up in the manual. Just a few things to note, like down here, these 3 are actually attached together. So when you put them in, the little connector there is still going to be painted silver if you're lazy with your spraying like me. But overall, the gimmicks look great, the shoulders look great, and I can't wait to see this all together. The shield is incredibly dull on the front with it just being red, but it's underneath where you're going to get a whole bunch of details, and this is fantastic, and I wish we saw it on more Gundams instead of them just having the same color front and back. This is just a single gray piece here, which is going to attach very easily into the forearm. You can see a few of the dots there. But overall, if you wanted to put some more lining in there, you could really jazz it up, but it may not be on display all that much, but it's still cool that they put in the effort, and yet it only requires 2 pieces of plastic. The backpack is going to look very familiar, similar to the D-Hell, and you're able to move these parts up and down 90 degrees, and if you want to take these parts, the thrusters are not going to move, a little bit of black lining overall there. And I've got this gas tank here, or the ammo tank, or whatever you want to call it. It's basically looking pretty cool. You can take it, you've got 2 little pegs there, so you can plug that in here, and that can fit on either side, and you can also mount the Gatling gun here on the other one to offset it. And how about that in terms of weapons? It's great that it came off a whole plate all by itself. It's a slightly different gray from the gray that you're going to see on the rest. It's a little bit more black. Anyway, you've got these guns down here, and you've got down here for the muzzles, you can see that everything is going to be hollow up to a point, so it's still going to give you the illusion that you can actually see all the way down the barrel. 6 different parts here. These are made of actually 4 pieces of plastic. These side gates are looking great with the intricate details, and you've got a handle over here and one over here. This one can also bend out, and back here you can attach on this chain thing here, which is basically you've got 2 parts, and they're going to clip on pretty well to those wires actually. I thought you might have to pinch them down, but no big problems. You'll notice that these things are going to move around a little bit independently, but you can also move them all over the place and twist it. You will have to cut them off, so you might get some ugly marks there on the side. You have some opportunities to put some lining in there. But overall, it's still really cool that you can do all this stuff with something that just seems to be a throw-in, and yet is really going to make this kit seem like a piece of military hardware. And if you paint the knife, you're certainly going to get that metallic effect there with the silver. It would be the same color gray as this base. You can put this on either forearm, and it's just going to bend back, which is a little bit too long. It'll bump into the shoulders, as you'll see when it's in MS mode, but still looking pretty cool overall. But finally, with everything else from this guy looking so cool, could the head be any less? And it's certainly going to be a home run here as well. In terms of putting it together, it's just the two white parts that you put on. You put this part on. Remember, you can do light piping there if you want. I just put the seals on. Over here, you've got these cool little wing parts. I suppose you could add some more lining if you want, but I just went with a little bit of gray because they are going to give you the details. The inner frame of the head is going to provide these Vulcans underneath. You've got a red piece and good channels there if you want to put on the lines. The eyes are going to show through, and that nice red part there is going to look really good on the top. The only thing that I did that I'm not crazy about is I put some Real Touch marker down the side of this yellow V-fin, and that's something that maybe I will scrape off with a toothpick over time, but overall, I think this could not be looking more Heavyarms-ish. So the parts are a lot of fun, and it's always a lot of fun just to see how the actual weapons are going to deploy in its open mode. The Gatling gun looks great, the accessories look great, I can't wait to put this together. So stay tuned for the next part, everybody. Robert184, please let me know what you think of the parts and the video with a comment down below. Thanks for watching, everybody. See ya. That's a pretty cool left arm you've got there.